If you have any information about the identity of this decedent, please contact the State of Connecticut Chief Medical Examiner's Office at 860-679-3980. On the 11th of May, 1974, the Connecticut State Police received a tip about 2 murders that had allegedly been committed by one Richard de Freitas. The police were led by the tipster to a wooded area behind de Freitas' house at 139 Shoeville Road in Ledyard, New London County, Connecticut. Just before noon on the 30th of May, after a 19-day search, the blanket-wrapped skeletal remains of 2 individuals were found, one victim placed on top of the other. The remains belonged to a male and a female, and the male victim was soon identified by dentals as 24-year-old Gustavus Lee Carmichael, a convicted bank robber who was last seen on the 22nd of December, 1970, after robbing a New Jersey bank with his accomplice, Roger Joseph Brown. The female victim, to this day, remains unidentified. The autopsies revealed that both Carmichael and the female had been shot to death, Carmichael sustaining multiple shots to his head and chest, and the unidentified female sustaining a single shot to the head that shattered her maxilla and destroyed her upper dentition. At her time of death, she was between 18 and 30 years old, standing between 5 feet 1 inch and 5 feet 5 inches tall, weighing between 100 and 115 pounds, having red, brown, or auburn hair, with tooth number 30 having 2 separate occlusal amalgam fillings, and tooth number 17 being mesially inclined. She was found wearing a tan leather vest, a gold or tan jumper, a brown tweed skirt, brown knee-length boots, a yellow raincoat, a wooden brooch or pendant carved in the style of an abstract ceremonial head, an inexpensive ring with an imitation emerald stone, and a class-like ring with the letters JHNS or JNHS in monogram, and the initials ILN and the date 1917 engraved into the sides. The only other possession buried with her was a Lady Clairol brand set of hair rollers. On the 12th of November, 1974, 5 months after the discovery of the bodies, a grand jury declared 2 men, Richard de Freitas and Donald Brandt, guilty of the pair's murders. The pair appeared at de Freitas and his common-law wife's house in Ledyard on the 28th of December, 1970. Seeking shelter while on the run from the police. The person who provided the initial tip about the murders and who led the police to the bodies was that same common-law wife, Joanne Rainello. On the 28th, de Freitas had robbed a bank, procuring approximately $30,000. That evening, at his house, he divided the profits between himself and his partners, Donald Brandt and James Gardner, whilst in the presence of Carmichael and the unidentified woman who was Carmichael's girlfriend. De Freitas provided Carmichael and his girlfriend with stolen IDs in the names of Dirk Stahl and Lorraine Stahl, both of whom were real people who had been previous residents of an apartment complex de Freitas and Rainello had stayed in. The unidentified woman opened a checking account under that name, Lorraine Stahl, and on the 30th of December, she and Carmichael moved to a home they had rented in Newark under their false identities. In the 2 days that she had stayed in de Freitas' house, the unidentified woman had expressed fears about the life she was leading to de Freitas' wife, Mrs. Rainello. She told Rainello that she was nervous about using a false identity and was scared about what she would say to the police were she to be apprehended. Rainello soon told de Freitas about what the unidentified woman had been saying to her. After Carmichael and his girlfriend had left, de Freitas summoned Brandt to his home to discuss the threat that the woman posed towards him. They thought that if the woman was ever to be apprehended, she would tell the police everything and expose their crimes. De Freitas and Brant both agreed on murdering the woman and Carmichael, thinking that they could not possibly kill the woman without killing Carmichael too, as Carmichael loved her so much. On the 31st of December 1970, De Freitas lured Carmichael and his girlfriend back to his house on Shoeville Road. James Gardner testified that Rhinello had helped with luring the two back to the house, although she testified that she had been out of the house at the time, and that it was actually Gardner who had lured them both to the house, and not De Freitas. According to Gardner's testimony, after the two were in the house, De Freitas shot Carmichael when he was putting down a box. When Carmichael shivered, De Freitas shot him in the chest again to make sure he was dead. Brant then tried to shoot the unidentified woman, only to realize that the gun was empty, with all the bullets being used on Carmichael. De Freitas held the woman in place while Brant reloaded the gun, and then Brant shot her once in the head. De Freitas then called Gardner, telling him to come to the house because he had a problem. After Gardner arrived, De Freitas told him about the murders. Gardner then assisted De Freitas and Brant with the burial of the bodies. Rhinello testified that De Freitas picked her up soon after the burials and told her of the murders, but Gardner testified that she had helped clean up the blood. This detail was absent from Rhinello's own testimony. She simply stated that she had returned home to find Brant mopping up the blood. Gardner gave several items of clothing that belonged to the unidentified woman to his then-wife, which remained in her custody until they were seized by law enforcement in May 1974. Gardner's wife stated that the night after the murder, she and Gardner went to a party with De Freitas and Brant. She also stated that Gardner had threatened her and her son, and he had committed acts of violence towards her. The bodies of Carmichael and his girlfriend remained undiscovered for 3 years, until Rhinello contacted the police and told them what she knew. It seems that Rhinello has since been put into the Witness Protection Program under a new identity. The unidentified female was known to have driven a 1964 green Oldsmobile with either Massachusetts or Maine plates. Her vehicle was found dumped in Hartford, Connecticut, with a Maine inspection sticker on it. A telephone bill was found which lists numbers she is known to have made calls to. She made calls to Nashville, Tennessee, Philadelphia, Langhorne, Bristol, and Levittown in Pennsylvania, Hightstown, Riverside, Caldwell, Allentown, Burlington, and she received calls from Newark in New Jersey, Wilmington, Delaware, and New York City and Buffalo in New York. Several of the numbers she called belonged to talent agencies. She was last known to be working in New York City, and she may have hailed from there. Investigators believe that she may have relatives from Tennessee, West Virginia, and/or the Carolinas. A 1976 article states that she is known to have used the names Sandy and Connie, along with Lorraine, and she may have been a prostitute from New York. Several missing people have been officially ruled out as being this decedent. Please check the description for a list of these rule-outs. If you have any information that may aid in the identification of this decedent, please check the beginning of this video again for the appropriate agency to contact.